This is a story about me, the father of a teenage daughter named Shara, who from the very beginning always liked to climb, to get to the top of things. When she was 15, she read that famous book, Into Thin Air, by John Krakauer. And even though 8 people died in that story, she made up her mind that she wanted to climb a mountain. She did all the research and discovered that Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs has a nice walking trail all the way to the top, with a souvenir stand at the summit that serves ice cream. She was growing up fast, and climbing could be dangerous. I figured someone should keep an eye on her. So we bought matching backpacks and a pair of plane tickets and flew out one weekend. The sign at the trailhead told us that it was a brisk 8-hour hike from there. It took us 3 days. We came back home bruised, beat, limping, and gimping, and somehow changed. A change we wouldn't understand right away. For the next 3 years, we would climb 4 more mountains and run 2 marathons, and I would watch my daughter grow into a young woman. This is a story about how we saw God in the most unexpected places. We saw Him on Blanca Peak, in a sunset that modeled the whole Colorado sky in a blazing orange. We saw Him in a mountain lake where trout rose and dimpled the surface. We saw Him in the blowing mist of Mount Rainier, in the sanctuary of snow and ice that stretched out beneath a full moon from a point called Cathedral Gap. We saw Him in a man who simply gave us his sunglasses to keep us from going blind, and in a cook who made the best chicken noodle soup I ever tasted in my life. This is a story about the things we learned along the way, like finding my footing on loose scree and sliding down glaciers and navigating switchbacks and trusting my ice axe. I learned about altitude and what it can do to your sinuses, and that even on the grassy tundra of Mount Audubon, teenagers don't know the words to the sound of music. I learned about preparing and training and the painful consequences you pay when you don't do those things. We also learned about hiking back down into the valleys, where blue lights of police cars glare and people die and hearts break, and you can see no silver lining in the clouds, not this far down. We learned from disappointment and victory. I learned about patience and fortitude and gimpy knees and the love of my daughter, who cares about such things. We discovered that we climb mountains because of what we bring down, mainly an experience with what we are made of. Strength, perseverance, determination, and honesty. To recognize these attributes in yourself is glorious. To make use of any one of them is incredible. To see them plainly and clearly in your daughter is overwhelming. Where else could I have seen my daughter wrap the blistered heels of a stranger with the last of her band-aids? Or hear her exclaim as we climb to 14,000 feet, "How can people say there is no God?" Or watch her as she sits on the ice and straps on a pair of crampons, with a cold wind blowing at 30 miles an hour, and the whole time she's grinning. But the greatest thing we learned from all this mountain climbing stuff is where to live life. Shara taught me that it's not always about making it to the summit, it's about going. The summit is small, usually, and you're only there for a moment. Just enough time to eat a Snickers bar, usually. But the journey? We visit the summits, but we live in the valleys. That's where we train. That's where we prepare. That's where we grow strong. The last story of this book recalls our latest climb together. Just a short walk down a gentle slope to give her away. That day, I squeezed the carabiner the thickness of a rope and let the cord drop slack between us, careful not to step on it with my crampons. From there, I watched her climb away from me, completely untethered now, and forced to call on all the skills she's learned on the way up. She can do this. She is able, I know, because I've seen her in the valley, and I've seen her on the mountain. So this is the story about what happened on all those mountains and in all those valleys, about things I learned about me, but mostly it's what I learned about my daughter.